Hello everyone, and welcome to the reading of Digimon Liberator DEBUG Chapter 3 Part 1. Similar to the last reading, I am not a professional voice actor, and I'm just one person doing their best. So if the voices change episode to episode, or even line to line, I'm just doing the best I can. I've also got a little bit of a sore throat. I think I've just a very annoying cold, so the voices may change quite a bit, substantially, between this sort of batch of recordings, depending on how quickly I get them all out. So yes, I'm doing my best, I'm doing my best. Please don't be too harsh on the voice acting ability or lack thereof. I recommend still heading to the official release over on DigimonCard.com if listening to this reading is your primary way of consuming the Liberator web novel. Partially so Bandai still gets the site visits, but also because each chapter, like Digimon Seekers, has art and actual visuals of each card that is mentioned. While the mechanics are included in the reading, if you want to see the card itself, head over to the official novel release over on DigimonCard.com. And with that out of the way, let's continue on to Digimon Liberator DEBUG Chapter 3 Part 1. DEBUG Chapter 3 Part 1. Room isn't the right word for this place. It's said to have walls, but no matter how hard one squints, it just seems to stretch out endlessly like a white sea. Floating all around are boxes, some large, some small, and at their centre is an artificial structure resembling a D-storage, except colossal, called Avalon. If the tales are to be believed, it's a paradise where the lost will find release. This is the Garden, a top-secret location believed to exist within the EGG. It's accessible only to debuggers, and it's where their duties are assigned. It's sort of like a physical version of the software's backend, this virtual world's backyard. And here in the backyard stand two people and their partner Digimon. Yuki, a girl in an oversized white coat, alongside her Impmon, a little devil type, and Ryutaro Williams, dressed in a fancy black jersey, military pants, and a red cap, alongside his dinosaur-type Tyrannomon. With its crimson hide and chiseled muscles, the Tyrannomon almost appears to be covered in armour, and his partner is likewise in peak physical condition. The pair are senior debuggers despite having joined the game following the official release, later than Yuki and Winner, who were beta testers. "Okay guys, how about we check out the mission?" said Ryutaro, with his usual enthusiasm. His fiery energy reminded one of a comic book hero, which was exactly what he aspired to be. It was clearly infectious, as Yuki thrust a fist into the air. "Alrighty!" Ryutaro gave a cheerful grin back at her. It had taken him a while to realise that this was Yuki's way of saying, "all right." Tyrannomon, however, looked vexed, tilted his head, and asked in a thick, bassy voice, "Why can't you just say, all right?" To which Impmon, standing with its hands on its hips at Tyrannomon's knee level, chimed in, "My thoughts exactly." Digimon Liberator Side Story. DEBUG, Chapter 3, Part 1, Ryutaro. Ryutaro turned to his team for confirmation. "Alright, everyone clear? This mission's nice and simple. Yep. In short, it's a roundup, as we say in the Wild West," enthused Yuki. They had just returned from seeing Altea, the lead debugger, and had been delegated a task that the GMs would usually handle had they not been too busy. Under ideal circumstances, debuggers have to do no more than play the game just like everyone else. However, when the GMs are overloaded, the debug team act as an extra pair of hands. "These are some real lowlifes we're dealing with. Cheating just to get that prize." Tyrannomon's angry words provoked firm nods from the others. The task assigned to Ryutaro and co. is to deal with a sinister group of players. Though known to the debugging team for a while, their MO had only recently come to light. The issue concerns a series of minor weekly tournaments held in Digimon Liberator. For comparison, the real-world equivalent in terms of scale would be a local tournament, such as a store tournament. These tournaments are structured into multiple blocks and offer prizes for winning, or even just competing. Regular in-game items are among these, but if you make it to the final rounds, you can get something extra special, like a promotional card with limited availability. Itmon was equally ruffled. Blackmailing players through cheats? It's just pathetic! Blackmail was the word. The perpetrators were a group of around 30 who had been entering the tournaments with little success. What they did succeed in, however, was identifying each block's winner. They would then set up meetings with these players and, using their cheat tool, restrict their ability to log out. They would corner them and offer to remove the restriction in exchange for handing over the prize. Most frightening was that the cheat tool could shut off all means of in-game communication. It was therefore blackmail in more than one sense. Players couldn't send mail, nor use voice chat, or even go to the GM's support centre in the central district of Jewel. Naturally, though, the tool had no power in the real world. Players duly turned to the IDEA Customer Support Centre, and the resulting flood of complaints caught the admin team's attention. However, the group's misdeeds did not stop at the bounds of the virtual world. Once they had obtained the prizes, they would go onto the real-world social media and offer them for ludicrous prices. Their preferred form of payment seemed to be alt-art chips, and with the huge amount they were obtaining, there were plenty to share around the whole group. Even average players had become aware of the situation, and it was starting to affect tournament numbers. A vicious circle was in the offing. "I can't stand seeing them get away with this!" Visibly outraged, Tyrannomon turned his head skywards and let out a little burst of fire, like a short sigh. "Wouldn't it be best to just change how the tournaments are run? Give different prizes or something," replied Itmon, his eyes listlessly following the flame's trail. "If you don't change something, the fun will be spoiled." "The problem here isn't the prizes, but now you mention it, what would you want them to be, Itmon?" quizzed Yuki, but her partner's response was as enthusiastic as ever. "I'm not going to rack my brains to answer that. Chances of you winning a tournament is 0 after all." Yuki hit back. Did you just say, please put me back in your D-storage? Ha! Unluckily for you, that's not possible in the garden, scoffed Itmon. Say what? Okay guys, how about we calm down just a little? With Yuki and Itmon growing increasingly rowdy, Ryutaro decided to nip a potential quarrel in the bud. He always strove to keep a level head, as all grown adults should. Stating his policy, I know you've got fire, but keep it inside you for now. We need to stay cool. Says the guy that's always acting so fired up, commented his partner amusedly. Well, that's nice of you to say, Tyrannomon, replied Ryutaro with an appreciative chuckle. There you go again, only hearing what you want to hear. Even when rebooking, your words always improve my mood. You really are the ultimate partner, a constant boost to my motivation. It was way back when we first met. Back then, you were just a static illustration on a packaging for a portable LCD screen toy. I thought you were awesome even then, and now I have you beside me in the flesh and as my partner to boot. Who'd have thought such a dream-come-true situation was possible? It makes me insanely grateful to be a Digimon Liberator player, and a member of the debug team at that. Ryutaro shook his head. There have been cases, but almost every time the cheater was found out and banned straight away, he explained. Most cheating tools had been developed through tampering with D-storage, which was transferred from the real world to the virtual. These were obvious to the TALE admins because they use custom firmware, which the system immediately recognized as an irregular OS. He continued, This time, though, we don't know how they implemented the cheats, so we don't know how they brought it into the game. There were no clues. All they had to go on were the complaints from the players. It was unnerving to say the least. Had the group somehow accessed the internal system and rewrote the code so their tool was deemed legitimate? Just what kind of cheat allowed you to prevent players from logging out or using the report function? Worst of all, there wasn't a shred of proof of a tool having been used, aside from the player's words. This was far graver than any run-of-the-mill cheat. Could there be a bug even? So to sum it up, we don't have evidence that they've done anything wrong. Now that is the problem. Without evidence, there's not really anything we can do, is there? Guess not. They'll just shrug it off and deny it all. Yuki and Itmon accurately summed up the situation, and Ryotaro could only agree with them. They won't come clean, that's one thing for sure. The perpetrators knew what they were doing was wrong, yet would surely claim innocence all the same. Tyrannomon wanted action. If you're certain of that, then what do you suggest we do? However, Ryotaro was given nothing concrete away yet. If their lips are sealed, we'll have to just loosen them. Of course, what I'm asking is how. I have a plan. Nice. Ryotaro loved that phrase, and having directed the conversation and built up the tension just so, he delivered it with an aplomb. Huh? Wait, really? Let's hear you. Having captured Yuki's curiosity, he smirked slightly, paying no mind to the exasperated head-shaking from Itmon and Tyrannomon. Well, remember when there was a store tournament a week back? Yep, I do. Same thing went down. The winner was cornered, blocked from logging out, and forced to give up their prize. Right, and that's what led us to being assigned this mission, since that player got a picture of the name of someone involved, so now it's on us to end this reign of terror before things reach Alpha and Omega levels of gnarly. Alpha and Omega levels of gnarly? What's that supposed to mean? No, it's a little phrase my mum taught me. That doesn't answer my question. With Yuki perplexing Itmon again, Ryotaro tried to get the conversation moving forward. Basically, she means it would be just as bad as it gets. And free language lesson for you, Alpha and Omega represent beginning and end in ancient Greek. The lesson fell on deaf ears. He expected as much. Okay, but I don't actually care, scoffed Itmon. Okay guys, we need to get back on topic. Now, what do you think they did once they got their hands on the prize? Asked Ryotaro, turning to Yuki. I heard already. They posted a trade offer on social networks seeking alt art chips, and lots of them, enough to get 10 secret parallels, I think? That's right, and I agree to the offer. You what? Huh? Oh, really? The three others expressed their disbelief and then fell silent. No one knew what to say next. Seeing their puzzled expressions, he calmly reiterated, What's there to be confused about? I saw their trade offer online and I said yes before anybody else. Blindingly, bright sunlight lit the area. It was even more intense from the reflections of the vast sandy coastline, stone buildings, and incessantly lapping waves. Rain never fell on Lapis Marine, nor did clouds ever strike its skies, and that was why people called it the ever-sunning seascape. It's probably the most serene spot in all of Lacuna, and attracts more tourists than any other. Ryotaro was as much as a fan as anyone, and having to come here on the mission beforehand bothered him. Of all the places to meet these crooks. After succeeding in his bid for the prize item, he'd been told to collect it at the base of the Lapis Stadium Tower. It was an audacious choice for a meeting place, given that it was where the tournament was being held. Doesn't this rankle you, Tyrannomon? Why did the lush area have to be the stage for their disgusting behaviour? The thought made Ryutaro's guts churn. Don't get so worked up. Our mission would be the same wherever it was. That's a fair point. As for said mission, there are two other pairs on the team, Yuki and Itmon, plus Winner and Funbeamon. Winner's role was especially critical. He would be the one to make initial contact with the perpetrators. He had volunteered, and had set out for Lapis Marine before everyone else. Ryotaro thought it was too much to handle for a young kid, but Winner out-argued him. If you can go, I can just see there'll be a problem. On the other hand, they're sure to let their guards down with me since, I'm a kid, so I insist. It was a bit pitiful to have no counter-argument, but Ryutaro accepted he wasn't suited for the task. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and that's why I'll never fail. Though tender in years, Winner had a good head on his shoulders. Better than mine, and he's always been a reliable debugger, so I'll trust in him. Yuki and Itmon are also in position close by. Rue, I forgot to mention, Espimon messaged earlier with a warning, said Tyrannomon. Oh, is that right, partner? What was it? If they try to run, we can't let him go towards Lapis Stadium Tower. This would have raised an eyebrow, but Tyrannomon explained immediately. They're going to test the guy who took down the rampaging NPC, see if he's cut out to be a debugger. They don't want any interference. Roger that, Tyrannomon. Besides, I'm sure we'll get them before it comes to that. Between Winner, Yuki, and me, we've got all the bases covered. Nothing ever dampens your enthusiasm, does it? And I suppose if it does end up a chase, I'm more than big enough to block the way. Alright then, nothing left but to wait. Just another few minutes until the arranged time. To be safe, maybe I ought to recheck the area for possible escape routes. Just as he started to scan his surroundings, Ryutaro heard a low-key alert sound from his hip. It was his D storage. Ryutaro's reaction was immediate. He checked the sender. Winner. Probably the cooks have shown up then. Yuki, Rue, they saw I'm a kid and it looks like they're planning to take advantage. There are a lot of them, more than 10. Please come ASAP, You have to be kidding me. What would be the point of bringing the whole group just to make a trade? It would make no sense whatsoever. They would only do that if... Realising the situation wasn't good, Ryutaro chastised himself. I should have been the one to go. I knew this from the start. Of course, Winner would look like an easy target compared to me. He obviously has more spare time. Plus, they'd assume from the offer that he has tons of alt-art chips. Still, he couldn't fully believe it. His body shook with rage as he tried to process just how low these people have stooped. It's easy to forget since he's a fellow debugger, but Winner is only 11. And besides, Digimon Liberator is just a game. Realistic as it is, it's VR, not actual reality. The whole point is to enjoy ourselves. That goes especially for the younger players. To Ryutaro, their happiness was a sacred thing that he struggled to believe anyone would trample upon. What happened to knowing my weaknesses? What happened to never failing? Man, what a joke. Winner volunteered, sure, but I gave the green light. What a clown I feel like right now. This isn't how I'm supposed to do things. It's the opposite of what a superhero would have done. His self-directed rage was far from subsiding when his partner called out. Save the reflection for later, Ryu. Okay, we better get moving. Time to make amends. We've got this, partner. They've come to a central part of Lapis Marine's urban area. Proceeding down an alley, they arrive at a nondescript plaza with no resident NPCs nor notable architecture. It's simply a backwater part of town, one no one would think of coming to. But come they have, and now Winner, Yuki, and Ryu found themselves surrounded by a group of men. The team's partnered Digimon were on standby in their D storage. As was reported, the group number was over a dozen. One of them delivered a put-down. So, what of your debuggers? Anything special about you compared to ordinary players? Nope. Your whole undercover operation thing is pretty foolish, seeing as there's nothing to investigate, chimed another, and the mocking continued. Well, unless you have evidence to the contrary, yeah, didn't think so. The group appeared far from being fazed by Ryutaro revealing who they were. Still, he persisted. You're right, we're just ordinary players, but we'll still see it that you're punished. Oh please, like we just told you. Nothing we've done is against the rules. Ryutaro wasn't having it. They really won't see sense, huh? Not liking where this was going, Winner slowly held up his hand to indicate his disagreement. Don't forget, we've agreed to trade. We would have grounds to report you for fraud if you don't give us the item. Haven't given us the alt-art chips yet, have they, Aruba? One of the group turned back to address a bespectacled man wearing a suit, who had the unmistakable air of a full-time office worker. He couldn't have been far from Ryutaro's age. Now that he looked at them all, they were all youngsters except for this Aruba. He was surely the leader. Aruba answered, No, they haven't. Aside from that, let's assume that you do the work for the admins. Might it just not be an issue if it emerged that there are undercover investigators posing as ordinary players? In fact, I think that could create quite the scandal. Knew they wouldn't lie down and roll over. So they think they can get away scot-free by taking advantage of our position. That leaves one option. Say, Aruba, why don't we settle this like card gamers should? The only scandal here will be how rapidly that cockiness of yours vanishes once I beat you. Let's have ourselves a blazing hot battle, why don't we? To be continued. So that was it for Debug Chapter 3 Part 1. Again, not a professional voice actor or what have you. I'm just doing my best and also got a little bit of a cold, so just take a little bit of pity on me. So basically, thanks for listening. I'll be releasing these similar to how I released Chapter 1 Part 1, Chapter 1 Part 2, Chapter 2 Part 1, and Chapter 2 Part 2. So just stay tuned for the rest of them. And I'm assuming that they're all, from a brief scroll, they're all about similar in length. So just stay tuned for the rest, I suppose. So if you liked this video, please give this video a like if you are watching it on YouTube. Of course, if you have any comments, questions, etc., etc., the comment section is below, again, if you are watching this on YouTube. So for a full list of ways to find out about a podcast or my videos in general across the internet, such as YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, head over to my Linktree, linktr.ee/LostinTranslationmon. If you are listening to this on YouTube, or if you want to listen to this on YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell your enemies, etc., etc. If you enjoy the podcast or videos or even my city posts online, you can show support by signing up on Patreon and get some cool rewards and help us hit some milestones. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is Wild64 on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi, Chisai, who can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Neoboo, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lismet, who is Lekmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Emery from Gone Will Hunting, a Hunt Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who is on Twitch at The Digital Hazard, Teropimon, Vmon Tamer, Kasai, Big Bad, Beetleborg, Bent Archer, and Cappy. You can also make a donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Ergemon. You can also donate to me on my Ko-fi account, which is ko-fi.com/Airdra. And again, thank you so much for listening. I apologise for my voice. I tried to make there be some differences in the characters' voices, so hopefully it's not too hard to follow along. The actual writing of it does make it kind of hard to tell who's talking at any given time. I'm pretty sure I got everyone right though, I think at least, but maybe the voices are so similar it's hard to tell anyway. So in any case, thanks for listening/watching, and I will let you hear my voice in the next one, and hopefully my voice is not worse. So thanks for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!